Hello, everybody. Let's try that again. Hello, everybody. Thank you. That's much better. Welcome back to the first Wednesday series, just in case you didn't know or didn't remember where you were, which is sometimes the case for me. I am, as Lauren briefed you earlier, I am going to pass around the poster for tonight for J.J.F to take back to all the way to Cork. And I am passing along one of my treasured pens. So if you want to write a message for Jason and sign it as a memento and then pass it on with the pen, that would be great.
It'll go on my wall.
There you go. And so I will start here just because Dominic is the closest. And I'm going to kick off the open mic because we have a very full open mic tonight, which is always really thrilling to say as a host and also really terrifying. And no more from me except to say, please, 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 because we have a full mic, everyone please read one poem, tops 3 minutes. And as usual, we will start off with the one and only Dominic Taylor.
Thanks very much, Laura. Delighted to start it off again. Just published my book there last April. If you're feeling Flahula, there's copies available over there. Just picking one at random to read from it. It's called Kings and Queens. We were the kings of footpaths, railway lines, ditches, tracks that led to dens and adventure. You were queen of summer, buzzing like a bee, scooting down the hill that led to the city. We took the road to the country, cider-filled days. You chose makeup and the company of older boys. You fell headlong into life, left your lipstick mark for all to see. Now your form is a ghost, someone I knew a long time ago, but I feel your presence still, between the rumble of traffic and the rustle of trees, where we were kings and you were queen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. And this is actually a good reminder. I think we have some copies of Clay and Soil over there, along with some other Limerick and Cork books tonight. So do pay a visit to the table and support our poets. And I'll say more about that later. Next, if I could ask, is Peter Riley here? There you are. Now let's give a warm first Wednesday.
I'm afraid to touch this mic actually, Okay, so this is called The Night Visitor. And I'm not referring to J.J.F. In the middle of the night, a creature steals into our bed, giving me such a fright. This ball of fire really stokes my ire. Thrashing about like a marlin caught on a fishing line, wedged in between us to slumber, condemning me to the edge of the bed, which I truly dread. Suddenly I feel weighed down by this sack of rocks, causing me agony as constantly being kneed in the back. My sleeping partner at first sight just takes flight, seeking asylum in another room, leaving poor me to face my ultimate doom. Waking up each morn, this thorn in my side, with no place to hide, feeling bleary-eyed, zombified, and extremely tired. Maybe I'll get a gun, but how could I shoot my own son? If only he'd take that heed each night of those precious words he said, please stay in your own bed. I wouldn't be so cranky, wandering around all day in a sleepy stupor. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Peter. And I think this may... Peter, is this your first time at the first Wednesday?
No. Several times.
Okay, well, there goes my memory, but thank you for coming back, and it's a pleasure to have you. Let's give it a warm applause. And next is Angel in the house. Angel. And this is Angel's first time. I'm not completely crazy, so let's give another super.
I'm a bit too nervous to get into explaining like what this is or where it came from or any of that, so I'm just gonna read it. Okay. Okay. I think we best leave each other with a politeness rather than an honesty. Spend one lasting night in each other's company. Then, wake ourselves up, roll out of bed, shuffle down the stairs and out into the world with new agendas. I take a physical reminder of you, your scent firmly entrenched. You don't know this part, and it gives you an easier time letting me unglue. There are a couple of vodka-seeming flakes of my backside left on the frame, I think. You must not. This notion becomes an excuse to allow myself to imagine. A lost future dancing right above the crown of my head. I cannot quite get a good look at it without straining my neck and then my eyes too. So I let it dance on above the crown of my head. Its skirt billows with each step back and each step forth, and I feel little whispers of a wind caress my neck.
Thanks so much, Angel. I hope you come back, because that was fantastic. Let's give Angel another Now, I know I'm encouraging lots of rounds, but I remember my first open mic. I'm sure everyone here who has done an open mic remembers their first open mic and the shaking of my knees. So, this is such, and my first time in Limerick was 5 years ago, and I remember the welcome, and I want us to continue in that tradition. So, next is a poet who, it's definitely not her first time reading at an open mic. She's a First Wednesday poet, a Lime Square poet, a Limerick poet, Marie Studer, a revival poet.
This poem I've been writing for a number of years. I don't think it's still right, but sure, anyway, here we go. Keepers of Archives. The story spun was that grandmother had swept my tiny booty from under the sofa, a keep to touch in her crossover pocket, as she implored angels to stay by my side. She was the memorare of night prayers, the brown scapular coiled on my neck, and the St. Christopher pin to my interlock vest. Sometimes I overheard her name with that of another I did not know. My who triggering off-kilter silences as women of the maternal line stared beyond the wisps of the fireside grey smoke. In time, I am the keeper of archives. I crawl back to the attic of tangible things. Things ancestors once loved, things set aside, to become undone by a newspaper clipping of coroner's condolences and a monochrome photo of an infant, snapped days before the tragedy struck. Grandmother's first granddaughter, her presence so fleeting, so lasting. Annie Francesca, I say her name over and over to the decade before I was born. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie. The next poet comes from very, very far away, all the way from Galway. And coincidentally, she just happened to read right before the last open mic that I did. So Thank you for weaving the two events together for me. Aideen, would you like to come up and read a poem?
Is that loud enough?
Yeah. We can hear.
No, louder. Okay. It's lovely to be here. Thanks, Dor and Lauren, for hosting this. I'm going to read from my third collection of poetry. It was launched this April with Salmon Poetry in Galway. There's 3 sections in the book. The first and the last section are more serious. The first section is about intimate family relationships and female sexuality. The last section is about the messiness of human emotion and contemporary romantic love. But I'm going to go for the middle section, which is a lighter interlude, and it's called Sway, and it's about dance. So if you haven't been in the world of Irish country dance, there's a whole parallel world that you're unaware of. I decided in 2017 I'd had enough of going to weddings and not being able to jive. So I took to jiving lessons, and I realised there's a host of places every weekend where there's anything from 200 to 800 people in a dance hall hopping around the place and having great fun. Okay, so it's a rural dance, so most people work on the land, and therefore it's Hiberno English rather than what else you call what we speak. This poem is called a Bitine. Can you dance the foxtrot? Sure, give it a latch. Body hold. Belly to belly, we're away. Do you work? Do I what? Back. It's the foxtrot. Back, side, close, side. Do you work? I do work. Forward, side, close, side. Where do you work? Where do I work? Back, side, close, side. Aye, where? I work in the hospital. Forward, side, close, side. We're at the crossroads. I can wait for his indicator. Spin turn, 2, 3, 4. Unsure yet, I divert. Do you work? Back, side, close, side. His reply, an arched eyebrow and curled upper lip. Forward, side, close, side. What kind of work? Yera, this and that. Back, side, close, side. He gives an upward nod, a Bitine farming. Forward, side, close, side. He looks into the distance, then peers back in. Back, side, close, side. Are you a nurse? I regard his face and consider. Spin turn, 2, 3, 4. Around his eyes the skin pigmented. Eyelashes thick, crow black. A fine down grows above the shaving line on his dark cheeks. I lie. I am a nurse. Final spin, squeeze, release. One man, fierce happy looking tonight.
Thank you, Aideen. So Aideen came all the way from Galway, and now I'm going to ask a poet to come all the way from the corner. Valentine is a regular first Wednesday person. Thank you for coming back.
Hello. I did my Leaving Cert back in June, and I wrote this poem after doing my maths paper too. You're not meant to be here. Like a length of iron, bent to fit the curve of your cheek, you grit your teeth as the clock ticks on. It's 5 o'clock. The hall rustles with scratching pens like a sea of grass, a fen drenched with paper, sedge flop uselessly on tables, the blue walls of the hall like the smooth inside of a hollow shell. You're not meant to be here. Time slips beneath your feet, low waves gently receding. The apocalypse sun turns water to glass, pebbles shift and clatter beneath you. Above, the whole wide world breathes blue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valentine. And I heard a little birdie told me that Valentine is starting in UCC tomorrow. just still see you here sometimes. And next, we're going from one corner to the next corner, to the person who sometimes doubles as my husband, even though we have not been married yet, and probably never will be, but I'm very fond of him too. Anthony Lenihan, would you like to come?
Can you hear me okay here?
Yeah.
Okay. I might try this here. This one is called McGinty. McGinty. Anthropomorphism. Think I'll take that up, at least for a start. Could throw a few fig leaves over my errant ways, or catch the Copenhagen flight to deck an enemy, and then navel gaze in the manner of a retired pistolero. There's surely the possibility of landing myself into the side aisle at SuperValue, where I distribute leaflets on the psychological benefits of basil. What about informing the media I've devoured Ulysses twice, or steeping my feet in Shannon's dancing at Spatter's Cross? Could, alternatively, organise a silent vigil at the front gate of the zoo, join a gym and galump through its corridors emptying ashtrays. Anything at all to squelch the numbing inadequacy, the boredom, the obvious agitation, this nagging notion in the ribs, this gnawing conclusion that I'm marooned. The conviction that any day now one of the neighbours, sporting an authoritative grin, would and will unveil my fraudulent behaviour by ordering me in no uncertain terms to shut up, McGinty. You have no story at all. Thank you.
The next poet, who I'm going to invite from another corner of the room, I was delighted when I was scrolling through my Facebook feed the other day, which is not something I say very often, to see that he will be reading in Dublin very soon, because he's one of the introductions poets. He's also a revival poet. Tommy, come up and give us a poem.
Yeah, I wasn't really in the mood to read tonight. You can probably tell that from the new poem that I started throwing down earlier. I call this one Visiting Home Is. Visiting home is impatiently chewing the insides of my cheeks while listening to the latest news on whomever is sick, tormented or dying, slipping from the front room to lie on the couch in the living room just for a break from the skeletons in the cupboard, and bemoaning the cobwebs where the walls meet the corners of the ceiling, tracing the outlines of years' worth of dust left behind on the paint from where shelves used to stand full of books and DVDs, feeling guilty for lounging and rising to scrub the stains that have built up again in the kitchen where the dishwasher splashes moisture on the washing machine and dryer, searching the internet for cleaning tips when mould builds up in the rubber behind the door of that same washing machine, quietly closing the book that I just cannot seem to finish, while one TV trumpets the latest from Sky Sports News, another radio blares loud enough for the whole damn avenue to listen in as Gardaí dig for buried bones.
Thanks, Tommy. And next, back to this corner. Kieran, thank you so much for coming and being part of the First Wednesday series, and let's give him a warm round.
Thanks, Dora. So a couple of weeks ago, I was walking out in the Shannon Fields and an apple fell from a tree and clocked me on the head. And I was there how I instantly thought of Isaac Newton and the story about him discovering gravity. So this is called No Isaac Newton, and it's a villanelle. So, No Isaac Newton. A crab apple fell down upon my head, but Newton did not manifest again. So I tried to stumble on instead. I was once a lad of whom 'twas said would break 1,000 hearts, but then a crab apple fell down upon my head. Then 'twas said that I was easily led. I soon refused to follow other men, so I tried to stumble on. Instead I found a way to justly earn my bread. Threw shapes all night in the club, but then a crab apple fell down upon my head. I held on by a careworn thread. I didn't know where to start or when, so I tried to stumble on instead. Newton and his laws have it all said, yet he could not foresee the moment when a crab apple fell down upon my head. So I tried to stumble on instead. Thanks very much.
The next poet is often funny, always supportive of other poets, and a regular First Wednesday series. Martin Murphy, will you come?
Just another little memory. It's called Don't Forget Your Jumper. Any open space would do, green or grey, we didn't care. Climbing walls and climbing anything we needed to for access. Swinging on monkey bars, there was nothing that could stop us. Making sure you brought a jumper. It might be needed as a goalpost. All else we needed were a football and the enthusiasm to play. The game was too important not to. It had to be played. Anything from 3 aside to 15 aside. If you turned up, you played. No such thing as player rotation back then. It was everybody in. Kids of every ability, ranging from good to obscenely good. Emulating the heroes of the day. Robson, Brady, Regis, Mariner, and take your pick from that lot. Taking your turn in goal because we all had to. As the twilight descended, the declaration of next goal wins went up. The score could be at 15 to 11. Who cared? It didn't matter. Concentration was now at the max. You could not afford to make any mistakes. You'd never live it down. That's when we learned what pride meant without even realising it. Pushing, shoving, and scuffling, all in the heat of it all. No diving, you knew better than that. No yellow cards, no red cards, just get on with it. Street footballers at their best. You loved to win, hated to lose. But that didn't matter in the end. You knew you'd be back tomorrow for the 154th leg of this never-ending saga. The games, the tackles, the bruises and the grazed knees. The great goal scores, the fun we had. How I wish I could recapture those youthful days. And that is why I still always bring my jumper.
Thank you, Martin. The next person, can I call Beck to the mic, please?
This is a poem about faith. Sorry about my pronunciation, you know this is not my English. Okay. I don't want the faith of someone who folds their hands and prostrates themselves in a church pew. I don't want the faith of someone who looks up to the sky. I want the faith of someone who makes plans for the weekend, for tonight, or for 2 hours from now. The faith of someone who opens a book and starts reading. Someone who opens a bottle of wine on the balcony. The faith of someone who says, I'll do it tomorrow, before going to sleep. I want the faith of a child who takes the first lick of vanilla ice cream. The faith of those who undress to make love. The faith of the man who began to write these words. Thank you.
The next poem, we're going to a new area right now. The next poet is over there. Larry, we're delighted you could join us tonight, and congratulations on the new beard. And over to you.
I'm going to take the liberty of giving a shout out to a festival that I'm involved in organising in Thurles. Starts on Halloween night, 31st of October, runs through the weekend. It's circling the square and it honours the great Irish poet Dennis O'Driscoll, who's from Thurles. And it's the 4th annual festival, and it's going from strength to strength. So there are some leaflets over there, programmes of the action. So feel free to get them. I'm going to read, I think I read this here before, I'm going to read it again. It's called Rhubarb. Actors were often asked to, when they're in the background in scenes, to mouth the words rhubarb, because they got their lips moving through, as if they were actually speaking, you know. So here it is, rhubarb. Back then, the man's garden grew grand red stalks of champagne rhubarb. The woman baked rhubarb tarts, the only bitter word from her. They cut the guts out of the young lad. He could not tolerate rhubarb. In a local drama, we were props, seated at tables on the periphery, ordered to mouth the words rhubarb over and over. The audience smiled, knowing we were talking absolute rhubarb. When evangelicals called, they preached varieties of rhubarb. The man gifted them in return chapter or verse of rhubarb. In Mission Week, guest monks' sermons boiling rhubarb, born in hell rhubarb. At home, family rosary litanously flavoured by sheaves of pray for us rhubarb trimmings. Christian brothers kept rhubarb stalks in their cassocks, dished out liberally, stalks of throbbing red on boys' hands, legs and backsides, rhubarb for days. Mothers and babies clerically rhubarbed away, whispers silenced the town, cogger mugger rhubarb, sinful rhubarb, soon forgotten rhubarb. TV and radio presenters fluent in classical rhubarb. Rhubarb. We grew up on bloody rhubarb. Now politicians train in rhubarb workshops. They get their teeth into it, makes their eyes water. I'm glad you asked me that rhubarb question. We've been consistent all along in our rhubarb approach. No question, we will deliver adequate rhubarb. Bicycle sheds and children's hospitals built of golden wasted rhubarb. Macho males love raw red rhubarb stalks, love the rhubarb salute. No time for woke, limp, pink rhubarb. Make rhubarb great again, a just dessert. Rhubarb king boasts bigly rhubarb. Icemen dish it out. Yet a Yahoo controls the rhubarb narrative. Stench wafts up from rhubarb sewers. Shit produces super rhubarb, and vice versa. Rhubarb plantations in the Gaza Riviera, promised land rhubarb, drones and payloads of targeted barbs, starvation barbs, annihilation barbs, rue the barbs when it's too late. World leaders silent, eyes diverted. Lead actors present sugar-coated rhubarb. Background actors and poets mouth rhubarb, horrific rhubarb. Bit parts wonder if their families will ever make it. As missiles scream, Israelis beam, the cats have got the cream. Children scream, parents scream, bitter screams, rhubarb screams. The great Zion plot is cleared of rabble and rubble from the river to the sea for the final rhubarb plantation, the final rhubarb solution. Let them eat fucking rhubarb.
Thank you very much for that, Larry. The next poet is someone I always look forward to hearing, whether she's reciting Shakespeare-inspired rap or any other poem. It's always a joy to hear her. Brita, thank you for being here with us tonight. And I really
Okay, what an energy in the room tonight. Thank you, Dor and Lauren, for creating it, I guess. The title of the poem that I'm going to read is Blood Grace. And a while back, a good bit back, I had a near miss while driving the car, and it was one of those moments afterwards where I guess a channel opened and I was totally taken into the moment. So that is what the poem is about. It's also a love poem, but when you're in your 60s, indeed when you're in your late 60s, a love poem can also be a poem about love as well. Blood Grace. The car decides it wants to be a deer. Before thought, my feet obey. My hands turn the wheel, a small ballet with gravel. The truck's chrome face lunges at me like a drunk who thinks he knows me. The seatbelt bites like a jealous mouth. The foam skitters across the floor. A cockroach at last orders. Then the road opens its jaw. Black, silence, thick as tar. I sit still. My heart pretends to be a metronome. The engine pretends to be asleep. No blaze of glory, only a sparrow ducking before the hawk descends. I roll the window down. Outside, a chainsaw repeats its one-line aria. Someone carving autumn into the air, their shirt off. It's you, of course. I thought of your hand on my back, not stroking, not soothing, just pressing, like a fire exit door that only opens one way. How all my grief, the grey dust of it, spilled through my spine into your palm. And I wonder if love, not the soft kind, but the one with steel-toed boots, kicks muscle into gear before the brain knows what's burning. Those first days with you, something grabbed me by the scruff, hauled me up into daylight, saying, "Look, you idiot, the sun's for you too."
The next poet, I actually saw their work before I ever met them in person. Ellen, will you come read? And Ellen is the last poet who we have on our list who signed up in advance. So did you know you can sign up for the open mic in advance by emailing the Limerick Writers Centre ahead of the night? But we're happy, whether you signed up in advance or you came and you signed up, we're happy to hear you. Ellen.
Hi, how's it going? This is a poem written after Shark Heart Submarine, or Heart Shark Submarine. Never remember which it was, by Dorothy Cross. It's an art piece in which a shark's heart was encased in a metal case and left there to be preserved. I wonder if that heart lies rotting, or if it has set a new beat in that hand-cast metal shell. Unknowing, consumption, consumptive, anemic, in a transitive state, gnawed at by creatures wriggling beneath the dirt, turning to the finest of forms. The particles that end all journeys are ash, dirt and dust. The aesthetic finale, cultural and physical metamorphosis lies beneath their feet, at the wells on the seafloor, largely frowned upon until encased and put somewhere important.
Thank you, Ellen. I think that first poem was called Taphonomies on Display.
Yeah, it was published in, I think it was with you guys in the year.
Yeah, in Skylight, yeah. See, my poem memory isn't as bad as my face memory or my The next poet is here. Not only is he here with a concussion, but he also helped J.J.F during the performance, so he deserves a double cheer. Oren, come on.
Good evening. Mr. Hyde reflects on his multiple personality disorder. Dear Jekyll, I'm not the man you might imagine. I'm not the doctor, the remedy, nor the disease. My fashionable suppressions, my secret life, the way I hide within these things I write, my world within, it's really cool. My world within, it kills the real. So, deep in the velvet crush of self-deceit, I've been pleasant, sensitive, and dubiously sweet about our rational, insane, modern life, your growing career in fashionable hate, your dark world of culture and financial gain. Jekyll, the adult child, my childlike parents' love, brilliant and successful and deliriously happy. The umbilical cord is his ball and chain. In truth, I know not why I am so vain. You see, I'm talking about myself again. It's because of me. I built his death, his Dantesque life of fulfilling dreams. I nursed his cleverness like a newborn verse. I, his action item, was conceived and born. His memo from God, I incubated about. Over morning coffee, no fuss, no muss. We are one and all shall be well. Raise a glass, a mirror to love. We'll segue towards our reborn world. No scenes of decimation on the telephone. I'll read, I'll collect the mail, and dry clean as before. But I know they're wrong. So wrong about it all. I know that light thieves the pall. Hope springs eternal. The potion feeds bad blood. In the end, love prevailed. Our marriage still went on. Our so-called talk show love, for the beatings they gave us, only made morale improve.
Thank you, Oren. That was delightful. The next poem who I'd like to invite has, I think, found her spot in the room. I first met her in Kilrush. I think this is her second First Wednesday. Sunny, will you come read a poem for us?
Hi everybody. So this one is called Be That. From day one, endless shape-shifting demand. Projection of desires and expectations command loudly in silent gestures and glances, never-ending should. Soul-murdering violence executed secretly, no trace, no evidence. I contort myself to be that which is not me. That, the murderer of authenticity. That still exists everywhere, behind the pupil of each human eye, a silent ventriloquist.
Thank you. And someone just called me out back there. I forgot to say you're also a Lime Square poet. So my bad, sorry. Yes. The next poet will be a doctor in a few years' time. She's starting her doctorate. I think it's next week. Yes, next week. Emmy.
It's a doctor of philosophy. I'm not going to be fixing anybody's boo-boos. I'm going to read something that's like a half-baked prototype of a project I want to start. But I've been reading here for a few times, so I feel like, let's get personal. That's the title of the poem. Let's get personal. Petite brunette pillow princess seeking partner for no strings attached fun. Except I lied, and there are already a dozen strings trailing from this cardigan I'm trying to knit for you, even though we haven't met yet. The yarn twines around my soft fingers, catches on the imperfect edges of my too long nails. I'm all tangled up. Those strings are wrapped around my waist and thighs now. It actually looks pretty sexy. Maybe we could take this to the bedroom, and you can pin me to the mattress and run your rough hands over my skin like the farmer who sheared the sheep to make the wool that's still tangled everywhere, and now you're tied up too. I bet you'd look real good in the driver's seat of a U-Haul truck, and I could sit beside you in an itty-bitty skirt with my bare feet propped up on the dash and really big sunglasses on, and you could show me what kind of music you like. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmy. I think the next poet, we're staying in that area, I think the next poet was here on the first ever First Wednesday. Susie, will you come up for us?
Hiya. I was prepared. There we go. This is a poem from a book that I have coming out soon called Growing Hurts. It's called Delicate. We do not always bloom. My kind need the earth to hold us right. Just enough water, just enough light. For such a brief life, we spent so much of it wilting, or in unnatural hibernation, waiting for a spring that does not always come. We can taste the old ice, frostbite in our roots. We stretch towards warm days like a mother. We cried to the light, crowning, "Where have you been all my long life?" This is a funny one. Well, it's my attempt at being funny. It's called Driving Affirmations, and I wrote this when I first got my driving license. I am safe. I am controlling the car. I will not hit things or people. The RSA has given me permission to drive cars. I will not crash this one. I will get my no claims bonus. Yes, I will. I am following all the laws. I did not trick the tester. I really do know how to drive. 80 kilometers an hour is a very normal speed that people do sometimes. I will not burst into flames like a meteor. They are not honking at me. No one is mad at me. I will safely overtake this fucking cyclist. I will not hit this curb. Shit. I will not hit this curb again. My tires are safe. I am safe. 16-year-olds in America do this. Drunk people do this. I can do this. I am a good driver. I am hugging the curb. I am hugging my knees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susie. The next poet has moved from where he usually sits over here to that area. But even though you did that, Michael, we still want to hear you come over and read a poem.
I was busy. I had a look at Dominic's book, and I came across a poem, and I wrote these few lines in out of that. It was 50 years ago. I was very young. 50 years ago, I worked with this chap. So, and Dominic wrote about him. It's called Myler. With your flaming red hair and your goatee beard, you pronounce your philosophies from behind your desk. As you examine my documents, you told me of your music, your plans and your dreams, how you would make it big one day. I looked and I smiled, wishing you well. I enjoyed your stories and the way you would tell. I'll never prostitute my music for mere fame or money, you proclaim. I took my order, went back to work. You left an impression, it always stuck. Your dreams and your spirits were always there, with a sparkle in your eye and your flaming right hair.
The next poet is known for his sartorial splendor, and tonight is no different with the fabulous purple hat and the beautiful coat. Give him a warm, warm round. Stephen.
Hello everyone. I am the cyclist that may have been mentioned earlier. Thank you, man. So I've been working on some other poems lately, and this one is called I Was a Hero Once. I was a hero once, famous and renowned. I was a voice of the people to those who are earthbound. I would bring joy and happiness to all those I would know, in efforts to bring them all together and help them grow. Alas, this peace would not stay. Eventually it fell apart, and there was only turmoil and dismay. After years of war and defending them all, it turned against me and left me alone, laid to waste amongst the lands, defend for myself with my own two hands, abandoned, forgotten, and left alone. Stories of a forgotten warrior began to be known. His sword a pen and his stories a tone. He came back from these forgotten lands to the land of the living, written in poems. It was felt in the winds and seen in the sun, heard in songs of his mighty triumphs. But now he has left and is no longer alive, only to be kept in poetry and rhymes. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, I think if you're just kept away from bicycles, you'll be fine.
I think so. I might just about get there.
Yeah.
And Susie. I gotta keep away from her as well.
So
She's driving safely, Stephen.
Yeah.
Can you leave me out of this, please?
Equally colorfully, but different color, and also decorating that corner. Matthew, it's a pleasure to have you back. Come up and give us a call.
Dora, you're putting all these poets in corners, because there's only 4 corners.
What's that? Best things
Only poets in corners.
I like corners, so I'm inventing a few more.
I think we're out of corners though. But anyway, this is something that I wrote to thank you to the beautiful people of Limerick, and unfortunately the way things are going, there might be some negative stuff, but like, this is called A Whole New Home. Limerick, you're the lady, they say. Dublin is still a thing, that's only bales of hay. 17 years I am here, surprised how well I have managed to adhere. Marriott, Savoy, and now Cornerstone. Many stories I have that never bore. Passing through from bar to bar, you most certainly raise the bar. Beauties you have are mythical, all who ignore them are just cynical. Recently you might have fallen a bit, but only due to some people that act in a tit. I believe you'll be back once we clear you of the nutters on the crack. Beautiful city, once again you'll be. Who will do it? No one but we. To the great people of Limerick, I say being thank you. Happy to be among you. New home I have found, and as they say here, because you are sound.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you so much. And speaking of Limerick, the next poet I'm going to ask to read is actually the second of our Cork contingent. Thank you so much for making the drive all the way here, although I know you're a poet of the road, really. So, revival poet, Lime Square poet, poet of the road, Catherine, will you come up and...
I'm delighted to be back in Limerick. I'm going to read a poem that John Kenny asked me to write for where he lived, Gur. It's my poem, Gur, and I dedicate it to you, John Kenny. Gur. Drumming in shale and soil, we swallow the earth, stuck in our throat for so long as we face the rising sun. Burning oil of ancient time, waxing vernix new, we arch to the cosmos in every dream that brought us here. Drenched with the song of tomorrow's lullaby, we dance in the dark storm of ourselves. Gur of screaming, shouting, crying ritual, soul circle of ceremony. Our sky swells to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Keeping with the Cork contingent, the next poet is really famous for his poetry, for his poetry films, and for his work for poets in Cork. Give a very warm First Wednesday welcome to Colin Scully.
Thanks, Dara. I came up with Catherine tonight, so it's great to be here representing Cork. I was just telling Dominic there, I was here about 11 or 12 years ago upstairs. I was a guest poet for my first collection when Barney was in charge. So time moves on. My second collection now is being launched in Cork on the 25th of September, if anyone was around Cork that time, in the City Library. It's called Neanderthal Boy, and there's some copies over there. I'm going to read a poem from it. There was a saying long ago, my mother used to say, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. But of course, I realised that fairly soon that's so untrue, isn't it? Nothing hurts like words, you know, it's the most hurtful of all things. So this poem is for everybody who had a nickname when they were young that they hated. It's called Pigeon.
Crystal the Pistol.
I remember the people in my town. There was 10 to 2 who walked like Charlie Chaplin, and Tabernacle O'Connor, the priest's favourite. There was Gyro, who stole a cheque from the credit union, and Slab Sullivan, whose father ran the concrete works. There was Beans and his brother Chips, and Sunday World, who had all the news. And then there was me, Pigeon. I believed them when they said a bird got sucked into the combine harvester. They smeared droppings on my books in school and flapped their arms when I walked by with my brothers. I left town after secondary and went to work in Dublin. When I come home, I stay on the outskirts, avoiding the pubs and nightclubs, afraid some local drunk will recognise me and shout after me in the street.
Thank you, Colin. Yeah, that poem is one of the reasons that my husband always says never piss off a poet, ever. The next poet is a poet who I have had emails looking for his collection. I've had people say that he has changed their lives with his poetry. Edward, will you come up and read a poem?
I don't get those emails. This is my newest poem. It's just written today actually. So it's a version. It's a draft. But yesterday I was in Dunn's and just passing down an aisle, but there was one man and he was on his own in the aisle and he was standing in front of all of these tampons. So many tampons. And he clearly didn't know which box to pick up. Anyway, I imagined he was picking up tampons for his it might have been the case, but I called it Poem for the Man Told by His Wife to Pick Up Tampons on His Way Home. Such a perverse loneliness to be stood here alone in this aisle and before a tide of tampons. You didn't listen when she told you which kind. You didn't snap a picture of the label like she said. You didn't need help because you're a man. And your penis was belligerent at the suggestion. You found your way to her clitoris without Google Maps, so I start exhibiting weakness now. You were so sure you'd recognize the package when it was in front of you, but never expected such variety. Oh, you must have noticed the many other details of the upstairs bathroom during all the time you've been missing the toilet bowl with your hectic stream of piss, but no. And how the minutes are flying by now, and the announcement has been made over the tannoy that the store is about to close, and how that was many, many years ago now, and still you are here, hesitating, unsure.
The next poet, I think I heard him in my first ever poetry night in Limerick. Jer, would you like to give us a poem?
Thank you, Joe. Nice to be here. If you're scrupulous in relation to religion, pay no attention to this poem. If your devil may care and never said a prayer, you might be bending a knee tonight. Last night I had a dream of heaven, a nightmare in the night. I saw a room with empty chairs in a haze of candlelight. It must have been the interval when I zoomed then, and they were on a lifetime break. Some shaky figures shook their heads as they shuffled in. The usher folded up chairs, sobbing silently now and then. You see, most of his mates had gone too far, and the fire got them.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Edward. I'll forward those emails to you.
Yeah. I don't believe those emails exist. Please. To go home and write them now.
Maybe I'll put out the letters to Edward the way you have the rejection letters coming. We'll do a twin collection. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, I'm giving a shout out because he was here earlier, but I'm just checking. Caleb is not in the house. No. Okay. Well, then that concludes our list for the evening, which is good because I'm roasting, and you probably are too. But before we are released into the cold world upstairs, two quick things. One, first of all, thank you so much, J.J.F, for coming and reading. Secondly, I'm going to stretch the number 2 a little bit, just like I'm stretching the corners. Next month we have James Finnegan with us, so make sure you come back next first Wednesday. Here, same time, same place. Thirdly, thank you again to Poetry Ireland for enabling us to pay poets, which we all really enjoy doing. And lastly, also in the same vein of supporting poets, go buy some books. Keep Marion and Dominic busy by buying them. And we'll see you next month. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, and I almost did the terrible, terrible thing. Sorry. I would like to offer a warm round of applause to Lauren McNamara and Marion and Dominic for supporting us and being here and making sure we have sound.
Walking down the whiskey roads, dusty dreams, a heavy load. Night will fall where the sunlight fades. Hearts are wandering aimless strays. Old guitar and a lonesome tune, stars will light the prairie moon. Feet are tired but the spirit's high, whiskey roads we drank the sky. Dusty dreams and open plains, aching hearts with no restraint, finding hope in a sip so deep. On whiskey roads we sow and reap. Rustic barns and silent fields, broken dreams that time conceals. Yet we march on through the haze, in our hearts a fire blaze. Dusty dreams and open plains, aching hearts with no restraint, finding hope in a sip so deep. On whiskey